Listen, if we don't change now, the state of small business is going to be ruined forever. The pandemic has really shown us who really knew how to run a business, who just open for shop. The lack of ability to pivot, the lack of ability to adapt into new technologies and to be able to move into a new world without trying to hang on to the other. I mean, evictions at an all-time high, repossessions are at an all-time high. There's so many people that are so fearful about the future. And can I tell you something? If we don't start changing things immediately, the state of small business as we know it may not even be here in the future. What is going on, my career chasers? My name is Dr. Tayler Jacobs, and you are on the State of Small Business America, brought to you by the Private Small Business Society, which I'm a founder and CEO of, and we're proud to say we have more than 2,020 plus small business professionals within our community getting better, making more money, becoming more profitable. Today's weekly show for the State of Small Business America is our White Paper Wednesday. And I think it's very important that you understand how important a white paper is. So we're going to give you the definition. A white paper is a persuasive and authoritative, in-depth report on a specific topic that presents a problem, but then also offers a solution. So when we talk about this White Paper Wednesday, I want to make sure that we're talking about things that are actually critical to the progression of Small Business America, because we believe that there is no America without Small Business America. And with these white papers, these white papers are used to kind of give some thought to how we think and how we even process as we are dealing with growing our businesses, operating within our communities, but ensuring that we're consistently getting better over time. So today's topic of white paper, which you will be able to find if you pay attention, you will be able to see it on the screen. thepsbs.com/white paper. You can go and download or read this white paper that I'm going over today. Either sometime during the show or after the show, depending on when you are watching this video. And then also for our rolling yearly report, when we made our year within our Private Small Business Society, I delivered our very first annual State of Small Business rolling report, which showed where companies are at the moment. And we did a private study of 63 small business executives that run businesses between $2 million a year and $10 million a year, and you will be shocked to see the results of that survey, to realize that if we do not get better and start really taking this profession of Small Business America seriously, no matter if you're the owner of the company or working within these businesses, each one of these companies are important, because 63% of employment comes from small business. And so if we are not paying attention to the industries that actually are the backbone to our community and society, we're going to look at a very different America if we do not tune up, shape up, and get right. Okay, so let's get right into the white paper. So today's white paper, we're going to be talking about leveraging entrepreneurial expertise in the post-pandemic era. Excuse me. This is a white paper on reinventing workforce integration. So what's happening right now? I'll get into the summary in a second, but to give you a quick synopsis in this transition, one of the biggest focuses of the Private Small Business Society in creating this podcast series, The State of Small Business America, is to be able to give people a inside view of how important it is for us to run successful, thriving small businesses in America, and why it's important for entrepreneurs that are running these companies, as well as professionals inside, to start taking these positions and roles a lot more seriously, as we are shaping the next leaders, the next innovators, and the next businesses that can actually be something that we can depend on for jobs, employment, amazing product services, to move the economy forward. So when we talk about the State of Small Business America, I know what I look like. I'm a brother. It's easy to see. But when I talk about the state of small business, I'm not talking about state of small business because of a demographic or a color. I'm talking about the state of small business as a whole. And when we start really looking at life post-pandemic, you have to understand that during the pandemic, it triggered unprecedented shifts in the global workforce. including a surge in entrepreneur ventures. As the economy recovers, which is what it's doing now, many pandemic era entrepreneurs are now considering returning to traditional employment. This presents a business and businesses with an invaluable opportunity to integrate these newly unique skilled professionals into the workforce. And so what I'm explaining in this summary is how there was, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, and I talk about it in the State of Small Business America annual report, that there were over 15 million companies started between 2019 and 2023 to date. And out of 15 million companies that were started, 60% of those businesses have never experienced or never been entrepreneurs ever in their life. Okay. So that's a scary place to think about. That 60% of the 15 million companies started were by novice that never even really ran a business before in their life. Okay. That's another conversation for another day. However, the nuances of adapting to during pandemic times and being able to start a business, sell a product, market a company, market a product, whatever their industry specific focuses were while being entrepreneurs, they are now realizing that after pandemic, now things are shifting back to early 2019-ish, around that range, when business was business, which means it's hard to grow it, to scale it, to get customers and clients. It's not as easy as it was during the pandemic. So with that shift and with that change, now people that were running businesses that started these companies, and we'll talk about reasons why they left, now they're wanting to shift back and go back into the job force. But there are a bunch of different issues that are happening which are stopping them from being able to go directly into the job force. And what we want to talk about in this white paper, I want to examine the rise of the pandemic of entrepreneurship and then the challenges facing both entrepreneurs re-entering the job market and employers seeking to harness their expertise. Okay. So I think it's a balance that we'll have to figure out, because pandemic entrepreneurs did pick up a set of skill sets that most small and mid-sized businesses need, like you cannot believe. And I think it's important for us to actually make a case of that. And we make this strong case for businesses to actively recruit these individuals by highlighting the potential benefits, especially for small and mid-sized enterprises. In this white paper, we're going to detail strategies for attracting entrepreneurial talent, why it's important, facilitating their transition into the corporate world, and effectively leveraging their capabilities, and how you can be able to become more profitable doing it. And I think it's important. So when we talk about during the pandemic and how it triggered an unprecedented economic shift, especially when it came to people traditionally working traditional jobs and then going into the workforce. We had record numbers of layoffs, furloughs, and whatever you can name happened. So from February to May 2020 alone, over 100 million jobs were lost globally. 100 million. Combined with lockdown measures and economic uncertainty, many utilized this disruption as an opportunity to pivot into entrepreneurship. In fact, the Kauffman Foundation reports an explosion in new business application in the U.S., rising 24% in just the first 2 months of the pandemic. So when you talk about business applications going in for people to get their LLCs, get their S Corps, it was happening at a faster rate than American history have ever seen when it comes to this, because people were scared. People want to spin off and start running their own businesses. And this trend was likely fueled by the conversion of a couple of factors. Mass job loss drove many to create their own opportunities for income generation out of necessity. Lockdowns also afforded extra time for passion projects and new ventures, and feelings of lacking control in the face of a global crisis prompted desires for self-determination through business ownership. Additionally, evolving consumer habits during the pandemic offered new problems to solve and needs to be fulfilled. So we had about 39% increase in new businesses in America by 2021. And 65% of people that started said they chose entrepreneurship over obtaining traditional employment. because of how naked they felt during COVID-19, being able to take care of their families, still having to pay bills, and that scare made it happen. So when we talk about this increase in this pandemic of entrepreneurship, not only do you have a large number of people in the market, you have a gang of them that are not skilled enough to be able to adapt to a highly competitive market. So when you talk about aligning your company during the pandemic period, right? If you aligned your company during the pandemic period, you could have accidentally made 6 figures. You could have tripped over 7, and you could have blind walked your way to 8, honestly, because it was such a mass adoption of internet people that were traditional that were forced to actually migrate on the internet. And because they were so new, they're buying a bunch of stuff. It's kind of like being excited about being in a new store that you've ever been in. And so people that never started companies before were getting online to start these companies, only to find out when a bunch of competition comes into play that the easy money that they received in the beginning of the pandemic is not the same money that you're going to receive after the savviness of how to work the same platforms, technologies, and sales approaches were beginning to be broadly exchanged and understood. So when you start looking at that competitive edge, many of the people that were novice going into entrepreneurship, 60% to be exact, not including the ones that were already not good in the market, now are having to readjust in the way that they're even seeing their income, because that pandemic money was total different money. Okay. But now they're having to adjust and realize, damn, there's a lot of skill sets that I do not have that I need to go back into the job force for. And then on the other side, you have the job force, the people that are employers that are like, saying like, you can't even explain the skill sets or training that you learned being an entrepreneur, failed or successful. Why would you want to come back? And we'll talk about all those other things here in a second. Okay. So there are several circumstances that created ideal conditions for such prolific increase in entrepreneurship during COVID. Unemployment was a catalyst, extra time investment, desire for control, evolving opportunities, access to resources. The government was giving out money like the candy man give out candy to children. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was unprecedented, the amount of money that the government was giving out. People were making more money on unemployment than they actually were working their jobs. So when you have this surge of money not being spent because they're in savings account because people can't go anywhere, but because of human nature, they want to go spend money in any place. There's a bunch of people that made some good money that you would have thought that it was enough to be able to guide you through when the recession hits right after the pandemic, the flow and pumping of money. Now you got interest rates that are high, competitive is getting competitive, sales are drying up. Now they're realizing, man, I have to go back into the workforce. But the problem with reintegrating into the workforce is despite their valuable experience, both entrepreneurs and potential employers face hurdles regarding reintegration into traditional work settings post-pandemic. Many entrepreneurs express difficulty translating their capabilities into corporate context. They're used to being autonomous in fast-paced work settings with direct responsibility over strategy and operations. They can struggle with adapting to established bureaucracies and structures. Over 40% of the people, entrepreneurs that are going back into the workforce feel their experience that they had running their businesses are highly undervalued in the hiring process. They also cite that corporate cultures dampening creativity, innovation capabilities, and capacities. So imagine you going into entrepreneurship, then you're realizing, hey, maybe I don't have what it takes to be stable, but I know I have what it takes to survive, right? Then I take those same new skills that I had to learn to become an entrepreneur and I bring it to the workforce. And then when I'm going into employment, the only thing they're asking me is, what's your resume? Where's the last places that you worked? Forget the fact that you started a company, whether you made $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million. what skill sets you learned in that process should be able to be accepted for jobs or considered for job opportunities in the workplace. And this is the balance that we're having with the private small business society. This is why my organization actually exists. We want to help these entrepreneurs get back into the workforce with realistic expectations, but we also want to train small and mid-sized businesses to understand the importance of accepting intrapreneurs, which is a new employment structure. Okay, you have the traditional employees that just do as you say and they question nothing and they stay there for 20 years. Entrepreneurials want to be involved in the shaking and the baking of the company. They want to be creative. They want to be innovative. And if your environment isn't inciting that, you're not going to attract those people that have those type of capabilities that can help you turn your company around. So we have this balance of this re-entry into the marketplace for employment and traditional opportunities. And then for businesses, it's re-understanding and reimagining what the workforce actually should look like during these times. But we have some concerns that employers typically have for entrepreneurs. If you're watching and you're trying to figure out why can I get a job, here's some of the concerns about leaving entrepreneurship. You lose your autonomy, which means like now you have to be accountable. Lack of a dynamic impact, which means a move that you made in your business that could have turned 5,000 into 30,000 or got you on a platform. There's a bunch of little micro moves that you're making every day, and the dynamic of the impact isn't as great because the company may be a little bit larger. You will have wage gaps due to extended absences for employment. So what happens is when you're running your business on your own, you're making your money. But then if you made 100,000, nor do we know what your mannerisms are going to be within our culture. So that time away from traditional workforce is going to be a ding on your resume. These are things that they're looking at. Okay. And then most entrepreneurs have a difficulty in conveying their expertise other than saying a bunch of the how-tos. They don't really know how to communicate that in a way that employers can actually give that credit for your skill sets or things that you have. So around 65% specifically highlight inflexible work arrangements as a barrier to find suitable roles. So think about it, right? On the small business and mid-sized business side, right? You're introducing these entrepreneurial-minded people back into your workforce and workflow, but you still have the traditional 9 to 5, 5 to 6 days a week. You have to be at the office with no flexibility in that. So it's going to be hard for you to be able to attract top talent to want to come work with you if you haven't adapted or made mendable those work-life balance schedules. And I think it's important. And I know, a lot of people are like, yo, listen, it's worked like this for years. It's going to work because this is what the deal is. And when I'm saying this with as much softness as I can, if you do not adapt to the changing of times, you fighting it is only going to be pushing you further and further away from being able to win in your market, which is what happened to all of the big companies that you thought were great when you were growing up that are no longer existing today. Is because of that mentality. The lack of adaptability within your business is going to be the reason why your business will be extinct. The lack of adaptability is one of the number one reasons why so many small and mid-sized businesses couldn't adapt to the changes that were happening during the pandemic because they were never planning for any other development outside of what you already knew. So being able to attract people to even want to come work with you and work for you, you can get a lot of people that would take less if it meant that they could be a lot more flexible with their time and showing in and out the office. And 78% now today prefer to work with companies that are purpose-driven. So if your company has always been so dry and antiquated, if you want to attract quality people, you got to become more purpose-driven. Okay? From the employer's perspective, concerns include perceived higher salary expectation, questionable culture fit, short-term retention risk, and narrow expertise, narrow expertise in areas. So most of the time, most small businesses that get online or that start on their own, they become entrepreneurs. You don't really actually manage anything or build any departments or really control any budgets per se. You really are just having a product or a service that you offer and then slanging or selling that or marketing that product or service and then facilitating it. So when you're going back into the workforce, they don't see you as nothing more than a salesperson or a marketer or a fulfillment person, which is why going into the workforce, you typically get these entry level or mid entry level positions because it's not easily transferable because you cannot communicate what extra value that is outside of sales, marketing, and fulfillment. And I say this all the time. Most of the people that are online right now that call themselves CEOs, if they wanted to ever go get a job as a CEO or compete for a position as a CEO within a company, most of them wouldn't even ever be able to win that job. And most people wouldn't even be able to win the management or director job. 92% of hiring managers acknowledge the tangible benefits that entrepreneurial experience could bring. The key bottleneck is effectively assessing the capabilities and facilitating onboarding role alignment with that said entrepreneur. So the opportunity for the businesses now is effectively learning how to leverage entrepreneurial thinking. Embrace intrapreneurship. An entrepreneur is a person who has the ability to think innovatively. They are creative. They are just as much as extremely as talented as entrepreneurs typically are. They're free thinkers. They're autonomous. You don't have to be over their back. They just don't want to take the risks of running, managing, and protecting a company. So if I have a bunch of entrepreneurs that are within my business, innovation, excitement, those things could breed amazing things for your company. However, if you're in a traditional frame of mind where you want the do as I say organization or community, you're only going to be around people that just are do as you say. No innovative people that can actually bring innovation and change to your company that can ultimately put you in better positions. And the fact that a lot of these entrepreneurs got to see the world, they got to see marketing schemes and plans and trends, a lot of them will be great value adds to your companies and your company's ability to adapt to today's times. Talk about innovation adaptability. Pandemic entrepreneurs honed key innovation muscles like rapid ideas under uncertainty, user-centric design, scrappy testing and validation, pivot capabilities, and managing complexities. Integrating these strengths across your teams or within your company can add value. 68% of businesses hiring pandemic entrepreneurs report subsequent boosts in adaptability, novel solutions, and revenues from new offerings. They know what they're doing. They've been trained. They went to the courses. They went to the program. And some of them may not have been as successful, but there'll be great value adds within your company. I want you to go and read the white paper for more of the information so you can be able to see. But the biggest case that I want to bring is that there's a couple of things that you're going to have to do as a company if you want to attract and bring on these entrepreneurial minded people. One, you're going to need some type of skill translation framework. So if they say, I can do this, this, and that, how can you justify that? That's why in the Private Small Business Society, thepsbs.com, we have certifications in training development. So that if somebody says that they're good at something, we train them and we certify them with a really difficult exam to be able to prove as a case point that they actually can do those have those attributes and can fulfill that role or position. If you have people within your business that needs training on being able to address, to adapt to today's landscape of doing their role, our certifications are perfect for that. You can take them through the program. They can get the trainings, they can get certified so that you know that they're up to date on the information. The easiest way to have a skill transform translation framework is by getting them certified and them passing certification tests. So when you're hiring, encouraging them to come through the PSBS. Let us train. Let us make sure that they're certified, get their exams in place, and be able to give you confidence that they are not only they know how to do something, but they're knowledgeable at being able to execute that during situational things. I think that's important. The second thing that businesses must focus on is the cultural onboarding. Okay. And this allows for you to tactically bring people in within your organization that can, one, either stretch your organization in the way it needs to go, or be accepted into your organization as one of them. So if you want to change your organization, you probably want to start hiring people that are hybrids. They are traditional and new thought thinkers, thought leaders, or they understand this world. So like a hybrid, right? And then as you have these hybrids can now communicate to the traditional world why it's important for changes, how we get more efficient, how the company can make more money, that everyone can get higher salaries. And then you begin to start hiring people that are more forward thinkers. So that bridge of getting people from traditional into the new are your hybrids that you have in place. Through the hybrids that you have in place, transitioning the traditional into the new world, and then bringing on people that only think new world, will transition your company in the right way. So really focus on that cultural onboarding. The third thing, flexible work models. Listen, your comp plan has to change and your work model has to change. You want to keep top talent, you can't have just traditional comp schedules no more. It needs to be hourly with a twist, hourly with profit share, hourly with bonus, salary with bonus, salary with profit share. If I use any piece of your work, just like you writing on a song, if you help me with any portion of the song, you go down as a writer, and we share in these profits and making sure that the company operates and is able to share the successes. You got to have flexible work. You got to have a flexible work model. You got to have a flexible work compensation. You got to. And this will produce a results-only environment, but it's still family-oriented. Because I don't know if you know, but enterprise companies are getting a lot more aggressive with taking over market. Number 4, skill development and mentorship. Investing in your team, skill development and mentorships to be able to get training on the new way of thinking. Private Small Business Society is a perfect partner with you. We have over 490 plus hours of professional development for things from tech, AI, all the way down to HR and operations in today's world, as well as certifications where we can actually get them certified so that you can know that they're ready and equipped for the information that's at hand. And every 3 years, continued education, they have to every 3 years get spruced up in order to keep their certifications active and alive and well. These are things that are important. Skill set development, not just letting them get comfortable doing the job, but thinking past the job for what the role could be later on if things were to change. Innovative hiring. Hire intrapreneurs. I'm telling you, hire people that have a high work drive. Hire people that maybe have a company. Hire people that had a company. You may say, Jake, but if I hire someone that has a company, wouldn't they leave me? I would much rather know up front that within 2 or 3 years, you will leave me, so that I know what to expect. I can get the most out of you. I can pour the most into you, and my company will be better off from there. But if you continue as an employer to keep allowing employees to lie to you and not having a safe place for people to say, man, I only want to be here 2 or 3 years. I only want to be a year. I want to give you everything I got, and then I want to move on. I want to learn this. I want to move on. And understanding as a small and mid-sized business, you are more than likely going to be the training ground for any particular person that wants to learn anything to come and work for you. So if you accept that as I'm going to be a training ground, you already know for a fact they're going to leave. So why not help them become their best at a faster rate so they can stay with you longer as their best, so that your company can consistently move forward and be able to change. These are innovative ways to be able to think about these movers and shakers that are coming back into the workforce. So in short, making these transitions, I think, are important. I think it's important for us to start seeing things in the position that they need to be seen and accepting this information as we are moving along, so that we can continue to progress as small and mid-sized business managers, leaders, entrepreneurs, owners, or investors. Okay. And then making sure that if I'm a professional, I want to find companies that's going to give me upward mobility where my development and my training can increase. Because remember, listen, what matters most is not just the income you make. It's the skills, opportunities, and exposure that you can gain, and develop with these organizations that you're working within. It's new relationships, it's new networks, it's expanding your reach. So if entrepreneurship is in your bloodline, imagine working with a company or a couple of companies for 6 to 8 years, mastering skills, getting paid, building relationships with all type of people from different walks of life, which will allow for when you launch your company, you have a lot more what they call that clout to build your company on, versus starting out with, no names, no family, not a good a reputation, and lacking skill sets. There's a lot of misnomers that are out there in the marketplace right now that makes you believe that you have to struggle in order to be successful as an entrepreneur or within a business profession world. And that's a lie. You don't have to struggle. If you understand the intentions, you align yourself with the right organizations, you will see success past your imagination. Always remember that there is no small business, there's no America without Small Business America. And always remember this, that people come first, results always second. This is Dr. Tayler Jacobs on the State of Small Business America, and you're watching White Paper Wednesday. Peace.